City workers on Monday temporarily closed a walkway near the Kennedy Public School when an 11-year-old boy was fatally struck by a driver. To give us an update on this news, we have Councillor Jim Karagianis in the studio with us. Please join me in welcoming him to the show. Thank you for being here again, Jim.
Molly, it's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for bringing me closer to your viewers. Let me start off with, in a couple of weeks, we're going to be celebrating Easter. Happy Easter to everybody. And to those that will be celebrating Easter in the Eastern tradition, it's a week later, Happy Easter to them too.
All right. Well, that's very nice of you to say that. And I'm sure they're wishing you back.
I'm sure they are. But,
all right. So give us an update on what's going on with
Molly,
this news.
the worst nightmare that can happen to any elected official, and especially to a city councillor, is to lose a young individual, a child, on his or her watch. Kennedy Public School is a school that we've done a lot of work to make sure that our kids are safe. Behind the school, for those that live in the area and they know the area very well, there's a walkway that brings the children onto Cannon Gate. The crossing guard is about 150 yards up from where the pathway is, and we encourage all the youngsters to cross where the crossing guard is. Unfortunately, little Duncan Xu, a young arrival from overseas, he's not even here a year, from China, he darted across, he bolted across the pathway, and a fellow hit him. And he was buried last week, and certainly was something that I'm still to this day trying to get to grasp with, come over with, and we're looking to make the area even more safer, mitigation measures, slow down traffic and everything else. But the most important thing is that we all have to teach our children not to dart out in between traffic and go to either a crosswalk, to go where there's a crossing guard, or at the lights.
Right. So in your opinion, what caused this to happen? Was it just a tragic accident, or how could this have been avoided?
It was a tragic accident that happened. There's conversations that are going right now with the city to what do we do. There's mitigation methods that we can put speed bumps in order to slow the traffic down. But again, you got to remember the car only went up 100 yards, so the car was not speeding. There's a movement to close the pathway, which I've done temporarily until we come. We can put a barrier up so the children do not dart across the street. We can teach our children, stop sign is something that we can put at the crosswalk where the young fellow was hit. But most important is that in the sake and in the memory of the young man and to comfort his parents, we need to make sure that this is safe, this does not happen again. And I have to tell you, every time, I was at the funeral, it was gut-wrenching, and it was not an easy situation. And my sympathies and my condolences go to the parents.
That's right. Now, do we know, was the driver distracted? As you just mentioned, it was just a very short
The
drive.
driver, he was 75-year-old.
How did he miss it?
75 years old. He could not have been speeding. I'm not sure if he was distracted or not. Of course, the police is going to come up with their assessment of the situation. But I think the unfortunate part is that the young fellow just darted across and didn't, we can't blame the child. The children are children, and we can't blame the driver. Things happen in split of a second, and unfortunately this happened, and the child was killed. But this is a far more question. We have parents that drive their kids to school. They insist on driving their kids to school. And in front of every school, there's chaos in the morning when kids are being dropped. It's chaos at night when kids are being picked up. And parents try to pick up their kids, zigzag, and get out of there, do a U-turns in front of the school, go up the wrong way, just to get out of there faster. And I say to those parents through your show, slow down in front of the school. It's only 30 minutes that, the time window, like 3:15 to 3:45 that you pick up your kids. Slow down, be aware of other kids. Walk your kids to school, encourage people to have the walk-in bus where, 10 or 15 kids from there will get together and walk to school. Make sure that you pay the crossing guard, make sure that you don't dart out, make sure that we are safe when we arrive and safe when we leave. I have parents in my area that they park in front of a fire hydrant, they park right up against the crosswalk just to be their kid first out. You're going to get your kid out. Wait a couple of minutes. Just slow down. Be careful. Watch for other kids. Your kid's not the only kid that counts. Every kid counts.
Right, right. And we need to, I mean, what's the rush? Anyway, it really bothers me when I see people in so much of a rush. I mean, where are you going? And when something tragic happens, then it's too late already.
Well, when something tragic happens, we try to find means of explaining what happened. But when on the same street, the day after, I was there trying to make sure that the kids were going home safe. You have one car trying to overtake another car in a side street. And, I had the principal sending the kids. He was at the pathway and he was saying, don't go down the pathway. The principal was there for 3 days straight. And we decided to close the pathway in order to come up with solutions. There's a lot of solutions that we can see, and a lot of solutions have been examined. Unfortunately, by the time you put the bylaws in and by the time they're installed, it takes a couple of weeks, sometimes even months. And we need to work with our children. We need to work with our parents. Parents, you talk to them, and sometimes it goes into one ear and out the other ear. I mean, I would go and tap on the window, and they look at me surprised. I said, "Don't you see the fire hydrant? I'm waiting for my child." But there's a fire hydrant. You shouldn't be parking in front. That's what we have to, it's very unfortunate. Very unfortunate.
Now, I understand some of the parents are not very happy with this arrangement. I know it's just a temporary arrangement, and until a permanent solution can be found.
Some of the parents, especially that appeared on media, are not happy. But that's the media, and I'm not going to blame the media, but when you put somebody in front of the camera and say, what do you think of this? You're not happy, are you? Of course you're going to, the message. Every child was delivered a letter home to his parents about the temporary closure of the pathway. We conveyed to them that this is temporary, and I said, if you need anything, send me an email, make a phone call. I received 2 calls, and when I explained to them about the darting out and this is safety of their kids, that was it. So, I mean, when somebody shoves a camera in front of your face, you will say what you need to say. I sympathize with the parents, but guess what? I don't want to have another accident. I do not want to go to another funeral of a kid. One funeral was gut-wrenching exercise. I want all the kids to go home right. Every parent has the right to have their child come home. Every child has the right to live until they're old and gray in their 80s and 90s. And that's what I'm intending on doing, to make sure that these kids go through life. They remember the Duncan, and make sure that they and their kids, their future kids down the line, are safe.
So what remedial steps are you prepared to take to ensure something like this never happens again?
The remedial steps that we're looking to take, especially in this area, is number one, put up a stop sign, a 3-way stop, so the children, it slows down the traffic. We're looking to put speed bumps. We're looking possibly of making the street a little bit more narrower so cars they do not overpass. But this is not the only school that I have with difficulty. There's a lot of schools in our communities. There's a lot of schools in the city that they're on a main street, or a street which is, like a subdivision, like Main Street subdivision, and those schools also have to be looked upon. I have my daughter that teaches in one of the schools in my area, and she says, "Dad, that shouldn't have happened. We were expecting it to have an accident like this to happen just right outside our school." And I said, well, there's measures that we're looking to get there. From the time I was elected municipally to today, we've done studies in front of all the schools, and we're trying to implement. The city has come something out. This is Vision Zero, that's supposed to look at the schools individually. But we need to get this off the ground. We need it to get off quick. We need to provide an audit for all the schools in order to make all our kids are safe. And they all come home, and they all live to be in their ripe old age, and they're the future. They're the future of this country, the future of the city.
That's right. So there you go. So if you're one of those parents, or any parent in the city of Toronto, it is your responsibility to make sure that your children are safe, and that when you're driving in the area to pick up or to drop off your kids, as you heard the counselor say, don't speed. Just make sure that you're safe and everybody else is on the safe, because every kid that goes to school must come back home safely. Thank you for everything that you're doing to keep our city safe.
Thank you, Molly.
And from all of us here at Chai with Molly, our condolences to the family. Stay with us. There's lots more for you.